Well, although that was a tough act to follow, we have possibly the one man who can do it with aplomb. So we are about to have the opportunity to ask anything of one of the most prolific polymaths out there. Former CEO of the renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, inspiring the movie Jerry Maguire. Prolific podcaster, a top podcaster, an investor, and all-round good human, trying to bring happiness to 1 billion people. So a big dream, a big aspiration, and a lot of hard work going into making a lot of headway to getting there. Let's welcome David Meltzer, legendary sports executive, investor, and host of top podcast, The Playbook. David, come on out.
Thank you. I'll back out. All right. This will be challenging because when you do an Ask Me Anything, the hardest part, like I always say in business, 0 to 1 is harder than 1 to 100. And I do these in 200 cities, Ask Me Anything. And my favorite thing is it's difficult to get people to ask me questions until I want to go home or get to the airport, and then everyone stops me. Oh, I just got one question. I was like, where were you? So hopefully some of you will think of something, anything. That's why I call it Ask Me Anything, business, life. Love to answer questions and help you in any way I can. All right, let's prove me wrong. 0 to 1 is harder than 1 to 100. Who has the Oh, thank you, before I even asked for it. All right, question over here. Keep our microphones coming.
And I'm going to be roaming. There'll be no pauses in the question asking, David. So stay ready, stay on your toes.
How great is that?
Hey, great panel before, well moderated. I know you did very well in your 20s in tech sales, and I think made a good few million, but possibly lost some of it, or nearly all of it.
All of it.
And I imagine learned a good few lessons in that process. So I'm 27, work in sports business myself, sort of on the upwards trajectory. Wouldn't like to lose all my money now. So keen to hear the lessons that you learned in that period of your life.
Yeah,
so I
sure.
can hopefully implement them in mine.
So for those of you that don't know, I paid the dummy tax in my 20s and in my early 30s. I went bankrupt and lost over $100 million. Worse than that, the only reason I wanted to be rich was I wanted to buy my mom a house. I had a single mom, 6 kids she raised. My siblings all went to the Ivy Leagues. Amazing mom. All I wanted to do was buy her a house. And so at 36 years old, while I was running the most notable sports agency in the world, I had to tell my mom I lost everything, but I also lost her house because I never took my name off of her title. My mom, at that time, I was crying, and I said, Mom, I'm so sorry I lost your house. You're going to have to move. Her response was, are you okay? I said, no, I don't think you heard me, Mom. You have to move from your home. I lost your home. I heard you. Are you okay? I then started crying more and said to my mom, why am I being punished? I don't believe in God. My mom's very religious. She looked at me, smiled. This is a woman who raised me 6 kids on her own, is moving out of her home. And she looked at me and said, son, you believe in God. You just believe in the wrong God. And so the lessons that I learned in my 20s was, 1, money does not buy you love or happiness. Money allows you to shop. If you shop for the right things, for the right reasons, you will be happy. And so I started to live my life in a different direction, to give everything I had, to be given, and to be aware of all that I'm given by giving more through gratitude and forgiveness, but to learn to receive and even ask for more. And the number one lesson I learned was ask for help. You see, I grew up with nothing, and I felt as if I did it by myself. I was praying to the wrong God because I thought that I did it for myself instead of understanding that I was protected, promoted, and loved at all times. And the fastest way to get me to where I wanted to be was to find someone that was already there and ask them for help, and also help someone get to where they wanted to be. And so knowing the who in your life is probably the most valuable lesson in our 20s. I have come up with my favorite quote from Losing Everything, which is, you're either humble or you're about to be. And I remind myself that all the time. Now, once I shift the paradigm in my life, one of divine detours, not punishment, it took me 2 weeks. I was a millionaire 9 months out of law school. When I lost everything, it took me 2 weeks to make my first $1 million back. And I did it in a whole different way than lying, cheating, manipulating, overselling, back-end selling, hustling, all the things that I thought were how you built businesses and negotiated from scarcity. I started to live my life believing there's more than enough of everything for everyone. So I teach people to give more, elevate your awareness to all that you're given. So many entrepreneurs that I coach, they don't even see what they're given. They'll tell me, oh, it's over. I'm good. This is terrible. I'm being punished. And whoa. Let's find the light, the love, and the lessons in what's going on. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you don't know, and then be worthy to receive. See, most of the nicest, kindest people, they don't succeed, not because they're not smart enough, not because they don't work hard enough. In fact, if you look at single moms, teachers, first responders, veterans of the military, they're the kindest, nicest, most generous people I know. But they're stuck in this belief that the more we give, the more we're given automatic. But the more we give, the more we receive automatically. But they don't like to receive. So my mom lived her whole life giving everything to her children, her family, Sunday schools, the community, women's lib. When I was a boy, my mom couldn't get a credit card because in order to get credit in America in the 70s, you had to have a man co-sign for them. My mom fought so that women today can use credit cards. Now, I certainly appreciate that, except for the fact I have 3 daughters and a wife, and half the time I'm like, I wish you need your dad to co-sign, but I'll get over it. But the real lesson is if you give 100% and aren't willing to receive more, you're going to end up in a zero-sum game. Entrepreneurs do it all the time. They give everything, but they don't receive, and they don't ask for help. They don't ask for more. So give more, be given more, receive more, ask for more than more, give more than more, be given more than more, receive more than more, ask for more than more. You'll end up in the world of more than enough.
David, we'll get another question going from the audience, so let's get thoughts going. In the meantime, David, quick question, quick answer in a tough topic.
Quick answer.
In this digital world, a lot of people are saying the most anxious generations yet are growing up as a result of social media, as a result of digitization. What's your advice to the next generation to find sources of happiness in an AI-driven and digital world?
Well, I believe AI in the digital world, I've been in technology since 1992, is simply use technology as your servant, not your master. Technology, AI especially, is to make humans more human. So take inventory of your capability, replace the capabilities that don't create a great emotional fulfillment, and let AI do the 0 to 1, do the research, do all the stuff that's so difficult and boring to get you to where you want to be or better. Use AI, especially our future generation, who will be much more capable than we are, so that humans can be more human.
Hi David, my name is Aditya. I had a similar question. So with respect to sports, the industry is ever evolving. So how do you see the modern fan changing, like over generations?
I had trouble hearing modern.
How do you see the modern fan changing
in
the
the sports
world in a digital age?
Oh, because of virtual reality, AR, VR, the modern fan is experiencing sports in an immersive way without having to be in person. Ironically, there's an energetic difference between being at a game live and experiencing it in an immersive digital way. And so what's actually is different about the fan is I believe that the value of being in person at matches, games, in competitions will increase in value. So you'll continue to see ticket prices elevate even though the virtual experiences are going to continue to create an amazing immersive, you're going to be able to move yourself at home in a stadium virtually to see the play at the best direction. And we already see this technology. I believe it's only going to elevate the fans' desire to be in person because the immersive experience is so great. There's an energetic difference that is going to be also more realized and more aware. So you'll see fans wanting to be in person more than ever and willing to pay more to be in person than ever. Next question. Come on, we're on such a good roll.
Hands in the audience. This is not a shy crowd.
Where'd Nick go? I thought he had
While they're thinking, here's one for you, David. While the audience is thinking, I'm just going to cold call people at a point. David, here's one for you. You're an incredibly successful podcaster. Google Notebook LM. Let's talk about that. Google has released a program that allows you to type in a topic and an AI voice delivers a podcast to you. Are you afraid?
No, not at all. Once again, there's an energetic frequency difference between technology and the human experience. And I think that those people should embrace the elevation of awareness. There's 7.6 billion people. I would love Google FM to do and replicate Dave Meltzer as much as they can, to elevate the awareness to Dave Meltzer so that more people will be stimulated to go down the Dave Meltzer social silo. I'm one of the few people I actually hired because I have so much content out there. I've done with the Playbook, which is a top podcast, but on Apple TV and other places. I've done 1,950 podcasts with one of my podcasts. And if I have a full-time employee that's going around these shows and they literally just ask people, what do you do? And they answer, and they ask them two simple questions. What do you like about what you're doing or what's working? Or what don't you like about what you're doing or what's not working? And then they have one simple response. Would it help you if I introduce you to David Meltzer? Now, there's three answers they get from that. One, who's David Meltzer, which is the most common. Well, that's brilliant because now I have my own social silo where all they need to know is how you communicate in what community you belong to, and then you can go down the David Meltzer rabbit hole, and I now have a virtual way of converting you into my community. The second one's easy. I love David Meltzer. I'd love for him to call me. That's very few people. And then there's also a few people that say, I hate that mofo. He's an idiot. He cannot help me. But I actually have an opportunity now to ask them why. And remember, the rule of resonation or of intuition is that if something resonates with you, which means you either agree favorably with it at a strong feeling or you disagree at a strong feeling. That's intuition. Intuition is when you're like, oh, I hate that or I love that. And you should capture intuitive experience or information because it's the universe telling you it's important to you. And you should have a system to access that. So I'm actually replicating that with my own personal brand by having a full-time person that just goes places, asks people what they do, what they like, and what they don't like, and ask them if it would help them if they met me, and utilize different responses according to their response. Remember, really valuable lesson for everyone, there's only two ways you can provide value. So I know there's billions of dollars of training out there in this. There's only two ways to provide value, and your ability to articulate that value to exceed what you ask for is your economic success. Number one, give people more of what they like, or two, take away some, if not all, of what they don't like. That is the definition of providing value. Too many entrepreneurs, businesses, they get confused about value and they're not realizing that people buy on emotion for logical reasons. So understanding the energy emotion, the emotion of what they like and don't like, knowing that giving the value by giving them more of what they like or taking away what they don't like, and then being able to logically articulate the quantitative value of that to exceed what you're asking for is the mathematical formula to a successful business. So make sure that you put things into context under value. You know, I call myself a content capturer, not a content creator. I can hire people after I capture my content to create it, and I can put it into context then once they create the context, because the context that I use is this going to give people more of what they like or take away what they don't like, and be able to articulate that. Great questions. All right, who's next? Thank
One in
you.
the middle.
Oh, in the middle here. Sorry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So, being an entrepreneur, the journey is like you feel strongly about a lot of things, and you fail at first, or you are hit by COVID, or something like that. And there are two aspects of it. One is you have a team who looks up to you, and you should be the one who knows everything and guide them through all the turmoil. And another aspect is the conversation with myself. Whenever serious this kind of thing happens, the main problem is the energy problem, the feeling down problem. And how do you, in that kind of situation, in my head or in myself, change that so that I now feel that I have more to give, or I have to give. And there is also a difference, the third point, the have to give versus I can give. So I just want you to address these things. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So real quickly, this is the last question. When you're an entrepreneur, we want to shorten the distance of resistance that we're creating. There's two ways that we shorten the distance of resistance between us and where we want to be or better as entrepreneurs. One is wisdom. So as a great leader, you want to be an intelligent follower. We want to find the light, the love, and the lessons in the setbacks, failures, and mistakes in pain that is inevitable. When pain occurs, a setback, failure, or mistake, we want to be able to be promoted and protected by that pain, not punished. Note that you give meaning to everything that you see. Now, when pain occurs, human beings have a defense mechanism called the ego. When there's pain, the ego inflicts itself to protect ourselves from the pain. Now, you can go to therapy for now to the rest of your life, which I highly encourage if you have trauma, and your therapist may be able to help work through that trauma or that pain. But I'll tell you one thing, they really won't tell you what is causing the pain. They'll help you work through it. And I'll tell you why they can't do that. Because whether you believe in, like I do, past lives or just one life, at the very least, beyond the millions of past lives you may or may not have, you have womb trauma, you have infant trauma, toddler trauma, you have childhood trauma, teen trauma, 20s trauma, 30s trauma, 40s trauma. I'm in my 50s. I have 50s trauma. That's a therapist's dream, to tell me what I'm afraid of. And every time I have pain, it evokes the fear of something as well as my ego that then creates resistance between me, something bigger than me, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves me, protects me, and promotes me more than my mom. So what I have suggested, and I train from the chairman of Gulf Oil to individual entrepreneurs, instead of worrying about what you're afraid of, let's take the instant and the obvious. How do you react to pain? How do you react to fear? Well, I'll tell you how most people react to fear. They have a need to be right, a need to be offended, a need to be separate, a need to be inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, guilty, resentful. Do any of these things seem as if they're productive? Any of these things seem to get you to where you want to be? No, they create resistance in your life. So what I've learned about Number one, identifying how I react to fear, how I react to pain, and then I use the only common denominator of all human experience, 24 hours, time. It's the only quantitative measurement. People would ask me, oh, how can you help me feel less guilty? Well, spend less time feeling guilty, because you can't stop feeling guilty. Right? If you spend an hour feeling guilty and I spend 15 minutes feeling guilty, I'm going to use that 45 minutes in the trajectory of where I want to be, what I call divine direction. So how do we do that? Number one, once you identify the instant and obvious, which is your reaction to fear, a need to be mad, offended, anxious, worried, all of these different things that stop you from being where you want to be, that interfere with you and your potential, your truth, instead of resisting it, trying to go over it, under it, through it, around it, being a superhero, lying to it, cheating it, manipulating it, denying it, instead, stop. Breathe. Shorten the distance between you and fear and your reaction to fear by identifying, shit, I'm pissed. Doesn't take me long to figure out I'm pissed off. But instead of trying to resist it, go over it, under it, through it, around it, all I do is stop and breathe. Now I'm capable of reminding, remembering, and recollecting with an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves me more than my mom, protects and promotes me. I'm remembering, reminding, and recollecting where I want to be in a divine direction, notating that this interference, this reaction is just a divine detour to get me to a better place, a better position than I was before. Instead of accelerating in the wrong direction, creating more resistance to what I'm doing. And now we're rolling in the divine direction again. So when your mind, body, and soul are on fire as an entrepreneur, which is going to happen about 8 times a day, instead of resisting it, outlodging it, how many people here have overthought things? And how many times have you overthought negative things? How many times do you overthink the positive things? How many entrepreneurs wake up all day long in the morning and go, oh my God, I can't get it out of my head. This is going to be so amazing. All I'm going to do is make a ton of money, help a ton of people, and have a ton of fun all day long. I can't get it out of my mind. Oh, just stop thinking about how great my life is and my marriage is and how healthy I am and happy I am. And this isn't me. I can't stop. I'm overthinking how great life is. Nobody does that. So what we want to do is shorten the distance of the overthinking of the negative thoughts that create the resistance by stopping when we interfere with it. It's very obvious. It's very instant when we're in resistance. Breathe, drop, your mind, body, soul on fire. Stop, drop, and roll into a divine direction. I'm going to be signing books. They're going to bring them up here. God bless all of you. Thank you very much for being here.